Hello and welcome to the SEGA Nerdcast, episode 55. I am Chris, the editor of SEGA Nerds, and with me this week we have B and Lee.
Yo, 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 hello Chris. And everyone else?
Hola,
Not too
¿cómo
bad.
estás?
And we also have the wonderful gentleman from the Elysian Shadows Team. How's it going, guys?
Hey man, I'm Falco Gergis. I'm the engine and toolkit developer and the lead YouTube narcissist of the team.
I'm Tyler Rogers. I'm the gameplay engineer and scripter.
I'm Patrick Kowalik, one of the artists for Elysian Shadows.
And I'm Connor Litting. I am the soundtrack composer and master of messing up the toolkit.
Nice.
Nice. So, how many people are there in the team? Is this the entire team that we have?
Oh no, there's still how many people are we?
Dan, Leandro, Eddie.
Yeah, we have one more artist. He's doing his exams right now.
Well, Anton now. We have a full-time Dreamcast developer now.
Yeah, and Daniel is going to be here, but his internet is not doing well, so what's up, Dan?
So he claims.
He's standing by on Twitter, ready to throw it all out there in social media for us.
Awesome. Well, this is going to be a really great show today. We're going to have, of course, a big interview with the team here, and then after that, we're going to get in and talk some more E3 stuff. Basically, our thoughts of what SEGA ended up showing at E3, and then we're just going to talk about our overall opinions on everything else that was shown between Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, EA, Ubisoft, anything else that was out there. We're going to go in and talk about that, and also talk about some of the games that we saw there that we're most looking forward to playing, because I was actually really surprised and kind of blown away by some stuff that was shown there, stuff that I wasn't really expecting. So we're going to get into that later on as well. And then we got some stuff, we got some more giveaway stuff that we're going to talk about later on in the show. Before we do that, let's go around and talk a little bit about what we've been up to this week. And this really is an opportunity, more so than anything else, to kind of show off if you got picked up any like retro games or anything like that. So if you guys ended up doing that, start pulling them out now. I'll go first really quickly because I just want to show off some stuff. So today's Father's Day. It's June 15th. My wife ended up giving me my gift yesterday. So as you guys can see, I collect a lot of consoles. You can see that in the background here. But one of the things that I've been missing for a while now.
Oh, I knew I liked you, dude. I knew I liked you.
There's a Game Gear I've been missing. So
Nice.
she picked me up a nice.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
I came with a Sonic Spinball, and I also got Echo Tides of Time. And it came with like a nice little carrying case. I got the Game Gear battery dildo.
Battery
Yeah, you gotta have that.
Yeah, literally, you have that.
I like to put it in my pocket while I'm out and about. In tight pants with that is very impressive. So also one of the best, literally one of the best, critically acclaimed Dreamcast games that was ever released, Rippin' Riders. Picked up that. Everyone was loving this game. I'm just kidding. But it's I've been slowly trying to piece together my former Dreamcast collection. I ended up selling it off a while back, very stupidly. But as you can see, I'm slowly bringing all my games, back into a respectable amount. But so anytime I could find cheap Dreamcast games out and about, I always pick them up. So anyway, that's all I ended up picking up. I've also got really injured Friday. I went to the gym, and Friday was shoulders and legs day. So I was sitting there doing some shoulder workouts, and I was doing a sitting shoulder press with some dumbbells, and it was like my third rep. I went up, and all of a sudden I felt like a pop in the middle of my back, like probably right between my shoulder blades, and it was just like this searing pain. And at first I was like, what the fuck? And I thought like I just needed to like pop it or something, so I was just kind of like stretching, trying to pop it back in. I kept trying to work out and do some other stuff, and it just really hurt really bad. It wouldn't go away, so I ended up having to leave the gym early. I was pissed off at that, and I kind of toughed through it that night. ended up going to the emergency room the next morning because it was just getting worse.
Damn.
And the doctors, I don't know, he just said he thinks it was just a pulled muscle. He didn't even really look at me or anything. But he did give me some Percocets, so I've been popping those about every half hour.
So he's high as hell.
Yeah. So if I'm like a little spastic or just like a little, seem like I'm a little off more so than usual, it's the Percocet talking and mixing with alcohol too, which everyone knows you should be doing.
Yeah, you ever notice that if it says do not mix with alcohol, usually it mixes like wonderfully with alcohol.
That's what you want to do. Exactly. That's like, okay, it's going to get you fucked up. So, yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's pretty much all I've been doing. I also, I went just a little bit ago, I was at this retro game store, and I saw an Atari, what is it, the 5200s, and I wanted to get it because it was in really good condition, but the guy was selling it for $100. And I'm not, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not that knowledgeable on Atari stuff, but you guys know, I was more thinking like $50. That's where I was looking. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
I wouldn't pay that much for a 5200, dude. That was the one that no one liked, isn't it? The 5200.
I think so. And then they cut that one really short, didn't they? And then they brought up the like. Yeah. He also had a boxed Hitachi Saturn, and that one was going for $200, but I don't know how much those are worth either. I kind of want it.
I don't know. It's a Saturn. I'd want it too.
It's a Hitachi one, so it's like even more rare than whatever. But anyway, so who else wants to go next? God, fucking high.
I'll go. I haven't been playing any games or anything because I've been busy as shit. I quit my job to work on ES full time. One of the first company purchases, we just got this brand new fucking trash can MacBook Pro. This thing was like $5,000. I swear to God, it looks like a trash can, but it is.
I thought it looked like a giant coffee cup.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it is a beast. I can like be compiling for like my computer, the Ouya, the Dreamcast, like all three in parallel while I'm running the game. It's fucking awesome. And speaking of that, I also got an Ouya, and we've been porting the shit out of the engine on.
Fuck yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, man, when we first got it running on there, it was like 1 frame a second. And then, like, after not sleeping last night, it's 60 FPS. So there.
It was looking pretty good when I left.
I'm pleased.
Nice. That's more impressive than Xbox One.
Well, we lack the cinematic experience of 30 FPS, so there's that.
Dude, my ego won't let ES run at 30 FPS.
Oh god, he will spend a week like, where did my FPS go? Oh my god. Which is awesome. We need that.
And then Connor comes in and breaks Toolkit within like 5 minutes.
No, this week I've actually been preparing kind of I guess breaking news. I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice tomorrow as well. So
yeah, I hope your bosses aren't watching this.
It'll be all right. So I will be going full time in preparation for hopefully having a couple of members of the team come out here in July. It's also kind of like an early birthday present to myself to more or less shrug off the I don't know, the obligation that work has just become, and actually pursue, my passion. So I'm excited for that.
That's right, giving 2 middle fingers to the man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't really played anything. I've been really wanting to log in and check out WildStar since it officially released. I was in the beta for that for a while. Haven't checked that out. I believe the only thing that I've been playing has been Bravely Default for the 3DS.
Oh man, I really want to play that.
It's pretty good, but there's a lot of things that they do in such a I guess hit game that like we've already done better in Elysian Shadows, or just the way that they present the world. I'm like, God, I'm so glad we're not doing that. But it is a great game. The combat is fantastic. It's a huge throwback to the original like turn-based Final Fantasies. Nothing like the newer ones with like lightning and things like that. So it really hit me right in the feels. I've been really enjoying that when I get a chance to play it.
Well put. All right, Patrick. Who's up next?
Patrick, you up?
Well, I haven't really played anything as well. I've been like so busy painting.
You better have been doing art, man.
Yeah, I mean that's what I did. But there's one game that I wanted to talk about, and that's downgrade. I don't know how much are you familiar with MOBAs and stuff like that, but it's actually like surprisingly fun game, and that's something that I would definitely play, if not EA, because like the moment I learned that they were actually published by EA, I was like, nope. Nope.
This is an old school Sega fan right here. Old school Sega fan. He hates EA.
Yeah, so that was only that. Like my gaming throughout last month was like this huge jump of like, yay, new game, and then no, EA, and then just like, no, go back to ES.
That's awesome.
And I've got Monster Rancher Explorer on Game Boy Color. I haven't played it.
Hell yeah.
This looks so adorable.
Monster Rancher 2 on PlayStation, and I still have not unwrapped my Resident Evil Revelations copy right here.
And you're not going to because you got shit to work on, bro.
Yeah, I haven't unwrapped it because I've been having, like, I got the toolkit and I've been working on it, and Dan, the web developer and level designer, him and I just bounce ideas back and forth. I've been having so much fun just working on the game that I haven't even opened a Resident Evil game.
Wow.
That's saying something. This man is
for him to not open a Resident Evil game, like, you think he was dead.
Yeah, basically.
I'm astounded.
Wasn't there one of the a PlayStation Monster Rancher game where it allowed you to put in like discs?
Yeah, swap the discs.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Monster Rancher 2. That's the one I got. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yep. Yeah, that was my favorite stuff growing up. And then when they put it on the GBA, being able to take that with you and everything was pretty awesome.
Do you remember those things, barcode battlers? You guys remember those?
Like scanners or whatever?
Yeah, you'd like scan stuff and like it would bring your like monster in. Why hasn't that been like ported to like mobile phones? It seems like that would be the perfect thing.
I don't know. I thought
you
about
play
that.
people online and fight people online. Fuck, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
There we go. We just there's a new game right there. We just bam, game changer.
Let's get that trademarked real quick.
Lee,
Chris.
sexy Lee.
Hello. So I've been pretty much working all of this week. Nothing exciting. It's never exciting when it comes to me. Every Nerdcast.
I know we're like we just quit our jobs, and he's like, well, I don't work.
Yeah, just at work. Yeah.
Well,
So,
when you
no,
talk to a bunch of game developers, they're just like, well, we've been developing games. That's all we do.
Yeah. So, but I did stay around a friend's house to watch pretty much all of the conferences except Nintendo for E3 because Nintendo's Direct was quite a while into the next day. So that was great. It was really good to watch them, and like Chris, I was surprised because I wasn't going in expecting much, but there was some really cool stuff announced this year, I thought. But I'm sure we'll talk more about that later. But no, I've got no cool retro stuff to show off. I've got no amazing stories like Graham always tells, but maybe next week. We'll see.
Yeah, Graham will be on next week too, so we'll see.
Awesome.
What about B? You're the last one up. Hopefully you got something really exciting to tell us.
A lot has been happening. I'm not going to mention anything related to chemical dependency because I do that every week. So,
And we already did it. We beat you.
Yeah. So let's just go on to gaming. E3 for me has I just didn't really bother with it. Watched a little bit of Sonic Boom and everything. It's looking better than what it was when it was first revealed. I liked how the developers talked about what they were doing and explained their ideas.
I thought it looked pretty good too. You know, I'm a little impressed. Like after what was the last Sonic game that happened?
Sonic Lost Worlds.
Oh God, yeah. After that, I was like, I'm done. But then.
But why?
It's starting to look okay. Lost Worlds.
Sonic, yeah, it was good.
Was it, man? I don't know.
The physics in it, and I watched, like, I don't own a Wii U, so I never played it.
Yeah.
But I watched the game extensively, and it's definitely an improvement over Generations or the
What? Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I love Generations, man.
Generations was good.
Fucking love Generations. That was my game.
For me, Sonic kind of died after Sonic 2. That was on Sega Genesis. So.
All right, let's eject this guy from the conversation.
Sonic Adventures? Are you kidding?
Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite game.
Dude, Sonic Adventure 2.
When you come stateside, we're going to sit you down in front of a Dreamcast and make you play that.
That's the only platform he'll be able to put his art on is the Dreamcast. You're not allowed to do anything else.
when I'm coming to Alabama, you're just gonna shut me down with like Dreamcast and nothing else in the room. Play it or we not get food.
And you know they can do that now. They're your bosses.
Oh yeah, they can definitely do that.
Yeah, he's on to us, Falco.
So is that where all you guys are based out of, or I know Patrick, I know you're not, but you're talking about all coming together. Is that where the Elysian Shadows team is kind of?
Well, Falco and I are here.
That's where it was founded. It's really just Tyler and I here now, but it started out in Alabama.
I love your background. It looks like the inside of a mad scientist room.
It is.
You just have like writing everywhere. I feel like you're trying to solve this complex murder mystery in there.
Yeah, who killed the Dreamcast?
It makes me look a lot smarter.
It's like all like really high tech like math calculations.
Dude, I can't let people in here because like they'll steal the source code to ES. Like it's on the fucking wall.
And then anything that's like waist or below might be some sort of drawing Andrew did, his little brother. You see like Dragonites or like Dreamcasts.
Yeah, there's like 50 Dreamcast logos in here.
He had one holding like a pimp cup and had like a king on, like a crown on it. It was a console king.
When I see Falco's walls, I think of that Elementary episode where they're trying to solve P versus NP.
Oh,
and I'm just impressed.
Yeah, I'm working on that too.
So let's get into some talk about the game. That's why you guys are here. Let's do that.
Oh shit.
So I guess we should start at the beginning. How did you guys? You want to talk like a little bit about how you guys got into game development? You know, why it is that you guys wanted to even do this to begin with.
I'll let Falco handle that one. This is his parents' attic, so.
Yeah, it did. It all started in my parents' attic when I was like 14. I had this crazy little white box called the SEGA Dreamcast, and like I was browsing around on the internet and I stumbled upon dcemulation.org, and I had no idea that there was like an emulation scene where that you could run like homebrew apps and games on the Dreamcast. And I started hanging out at dcemulation.org, and like there were just all these people, you know, who were like creating custom software, games, and all this crazy shit for their Dreamcast. And I just thought it was like so amazing what they were doing, and I really just decided that's when like I wanted to get into game development. So I taught myself C from there, and I started hanging out on those boards, and it all really just it went from there. I was able to render sprites on the Dreamcast before I could even do it on my computer.
Were you browsing that website through your Dreamcast?
Oh yeah,
probably.
Because that is even way more.
Oh yeah,
that is
dude.
fucking awesome.
Dude, I still use that web browser, man.
We were talking about
Web3.
actually making a version of the site that would redirect people if they were on the Dreamcast that it would be specifically designed for the Dreamcast web browser.
Oh, you should.
Which would be so awesome.
You know, actually, we are going to do that too. So for ES, we wanted to have a tool to where you can upload your save file from any platform and then put it on any other platform. So for example, the Dreamcast will have like an upload field. You browse to our website, you can upload your VMU file, and then you can download it on, say, like your PC or whatever and play it on there, or put it on your cell phone or whatever, and you can bring it wherever you want to go.
That is really badass. That is an awesome idea.
It kind of opens up, like, we can have, like, exclusive content for some things. We wanted to have, like, a Dreamcast VMU minigame, you know, and if you're playing it on the Ouya or Android, you don't have a fucking VMU, so...
Yeah, if you want to assemble some sort of legendary item to get like all the components, you may have to play it on all the different consoles to be able to get everything. So.
It's our evil marketing scheme.
That is awesome.
It's also cool.
Yeah. So for the rest of you guys, like, you want to kind of briefly talk about how you got into game development and how you really kind of picked your expertise, because all you guys kind of have different talents that you're bringing to this, right? So how did you kind of fall into all these different like fields of game development?
Well, I met Falco in middle school. It was like the 6th grade, and there was this crazy motherfucker that was going on and on about a Dreamcast, and I'm like, dude, you have a Dreamcast too? Like, we've been pretty good friends ever since then. I guess I come from, I never had a like Super Nintendo or anything growing up. I had a Sega Genesis. And
Is
Sega
it still
Dreamcast.
that Sega Genesis that's back there? Is that the same one?
That is the Sega Genesis, yes.
That is badass.
So I guess I kind of came from that background. I played like a lot of different MMOs, RPGs. I guess I've probably played a lot more modern games than I believe Falco has. And
Well, excuse me. I was too busy developing games.
Yeah. I mean, and like I've always been really interested in like the beta process for games. I've beta tested like Elder Scrolls, like I mentioned earlier, like WildStar, stuff like that. I really enjoyed the development process, learning how these companies are like kind of iteratively developing and like responding. Like WildStar has been really good about listening to their audience. I mean, they redid their entire quest system simply on like complaining not being able to share like kills without being in a group. They redid everything. So it's been really interesting like seeing that kind of stuff. And I guess I kind of bring some of that understanding as well as if you go back and watch some of the other Adventures in Game Development episodes, some of the video production and kind of building like these like really fancy transitions and stuff. I mean, that's what I do with like the spell effects, like the fireball and things like that. Being able to take the different elements that kind of combine that stuff together and make gameplay elements out of it. I cannot play any game anymore. Especially like I was playing like Second Son, watching the different fireball effects and stuff like that. I'm like, wait, how did they do that? Like I'm analyzing like the particles and the physics and everything like that. Like we could do that in ES, So I mean that's really where I come from, and that's my contribution.
See, it's always an interesting thing. I always like to kind of talk about that with game developers, because for me, I mean, my background is writing. I've been a journalist for a long time, and whenever I read anything, whether it's just like a ticker going across the TV, or if it's a newspaper article, anything, even playing a game, I'm always looking at the words and editing. I can't help but not notice errors, or whether it's grammatical misspellings, anything like that, or even it's just I would construct sentences or stories differently. But for you guys, I mean, are you able to kind of take yourself out of like the game development hat? Take that off and just experience and enjoy the game.
No.
It's such an integrated part.
Yeah. It's like the moment the day I learned 3D modeling was the day that 3D games were forever ruined, and then they were at the same time like ruined and then enhanced like another levels, because then I would play the game and I would see how they did the models and how they did the animation, skeletal animation, or the bump mapping, and I was just in awe. And I just especially when I was playing Dark Souls 2, I just couldn't play the game because I would stop and I would just stare at the environment, at what a wonderful visual design and how they did and all those little tricks. And you just instead of playing 8-hour game, you just play 28-hour game, because 20 hours is just taking something to write and just writing notes. How could you do something?
Dude, the new Zelda game was fucking horrible for me. A Link Between Worlds, the ice dungeon, I'm sitting in there fighting a boss, and I'm like, oh my god, look at that bump mapping. Hold on, asshole. I'm getting my ass beat, trying to check out the glint from the light at every angle. How did they do that shader? Dude, and The Last of Us, I'm trying to figure out how they did the shadow mapping while I'm getting my ass beat. I'm incapable of playing games without dissecting them anymore.
That's funny. So, talk a little bit about, okay, so you guys all started getting into game development at different points in your lives, but ultimately you guys ended up coming together and started working on this new project. So can you talk about how the team kind of ended up coming together and starting work on Elysian Shadows? Yeah,
so it's actually a funny story. So when this all started in Mommy's attic, I know, Mom, you're watching this. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Anyway, it all started in my parents' attic. So we were building this. We were just a group of kids trying to build this Dreamcast game with a level editor, and we had just beaten God of War for PS2. And it was one of the first games that I ever remember having a developer documentary at the end of the game, to where you beat the game and you can see behind the scenes, the interviews with them developing the game. And so we had this idea, oh shit, let's start recording ourselves making the game, and we can keep this for end game content eventually. So we recorded some really shitty videos, 320i, whatever, and we had the idea to put them on YouTube. Just we'll see what happens. And we put them on YouTube, and we named them Adventures in Game Development, and that really wound up taking off, and people really dug what we were doing. So we inadvertently became YouTube famous, and we continued it on as the Adventures in Game Development series. And through that series, like, we've been able to meet people like Patrick and Connor who've like shared our creative vision and stuff, and who are really talented and shit, and they've been able to reach out to us and join us like that.
Yeah, for me, it started around like two years ago, I think. I think that's right. When they were actually looking for a concept artist, and that's initially something that I wanted to do in game development. So I just jumped on the bandwagon and joined. But then I quickly realized that, hey, the engine is almost done and we have no art assets. So I just learned pixel art. So like I just learned pixel art and started doing art assets for the game, and that's how it came to be.
Basically, for me, I was just watching one of their old live streams, and they said that they'd fired the musicians, so I sent them an email and was like, hey, you nerds, you need a rock star.
A literal rock star.
Connor Linning.
Actually, he begged me and like told me he would do anything.
He is the resident rock star, man. He comes from a background of mixing and producing rock music. It's apparent. I mean, we got some brooding, really brooding music tracks.
Yeah, we got some rock star swagger in the game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So talk about how the actual game came about. Like, whose idea was this, and how did the early concept of the game start coming about?
When I first realistically, truly got involved with Elysian Shadows, and not just hanging out and just kind of playing games and chilling with like Peter, Marcel, and Falco. Falco handed me like a one-sheet synopsis of what the game was, and there was threads on the forum talking about different storyline ideas, and we were originally actually very, very rooted in like a realistic environment. We really didn't want to have anything that couldn't be 100% realistically explained. We've since kind of deviated from that with our current storyline. We do support magic and stuff like that. Not saying it's not able to be explained, but
come on, I wrote a fucking thesis on that.
I know, but if you realized how hardcore we were at the very beginning against that kind of thing, it really did evolve. We took that one-page synopsis and wrote this bad boy right here.
First of all,
that was the most fucking badass one page ever.
Look at that.
This is the Elysian Shadows design document. This is a humongous tome.
Huge.
I mean, we've got everything from character bios to talking about the different art that's inspired us, like some pictures from like Final Fantasy VIII, stuff like that. So this is all a big Google Doc we've got online that we collaborate with. Like I said, everything from characters to biomes to gameplay mechanics to dungeons, to even we have a character interaction table. We were really wanting to personify these different personalities and character archetypes. So how do we give them more depth? I mean, that certain characters are going to interact certain ways. We have that huge table for that. It's really grown impressively since then.
I think the most important thing is that in case of Fall of Civilization and Zombie Apocalypse, we still have the paperback copy of our design doc, so we still can do Elysian Shadows game after like society collapses. So that's good.
It's out there on the internet. It'll be eternal.
So my question is, aside from Final Fantasy and Phantasy Star video games, aside from video games, what inspired the world of Elysian Shadows? Any books or movies?
It's actually a very, lore-heavy title. Elysian is always been in real-life culture like a heaven, a kind of place that you want to get to, where you want to achieve. Even our real Elysian Shadows world is called Asphodel, which is a type of flower that grows in Elysium. But the title Elysian Shadows kind of really gives you like that implication of like the kind of the dark side of paradise. Like, maybe it's something that you wouldn't normally expect to see, the stuff kind of going behind the scenes, or people that are blissfully unaware of things happening. So.
And I will say the storyline, we all contribute to some extent, and we all bring with us like our own unique influences and stuff. And at least for me, I've drawn a shitload of influences from TV shows. Like House MD was a big influence on at least one of the characters. Actually, believe it or not, there's
Sherlock Holmes.
Game of Thrones was an influence on something. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, there's a lot of shows that influence especially my character design directions. You know, like there's some shows you watch and like there's a character that makes this show because of how unique they are or how, you know,
Their reactions.
Yeah, and that's like that kind of. That's kind of what we wanted to personify with our characters. We wanted that kind of like depth going on in the game as well. It's very dialogue and story heavy. Well, I don't want to say heavy.
I've read a ton of books. I mean, everything from like David Eddings, Terry Goodkind, I mean, J.R.R. Tolkien, just a ton of fantasy novels. So I mean, a lot of those different experiences I bring to the table too from all that.
There's a lot of Ayn Rand influences. Too,
yeah, Ayn Rand.
That Connor hates us for.
Also on the visual side of the design, one of the good things about our storyline is that it allows us to go into vastly different environments. So I can assemble a whole cast of entirely different visual and sorry.
No, go on.
So I can assemble like whole cast of vastly different visually and technologically scenes, and that's something really great. Like right now, I'm actually working on another biome which its buildings are inspired directly by Eva's design from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Don't know if someone's fan of anime here, but you know, like the whole you have these giant structures which have this really awesome plating on top of it, and it looks really great. And I can do that because hey, it's explained in lore. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's great about writing your own game. You can take design liberties.
I was actually going to ask that. You know, I don't know if y'all had addressed that, but who is actually doing the bulk of the writing on the team?
We all do. Like I said, contribute. I was the one that originally did assemble the first. I wouldn't call it design doc, but like storyline document.
Mm-hmm.
The current design doc Falco did. He went through just every forum post, everything we ever had. Started actually giving us a working blueprint, like trimmed all the fat, really boiled it down. I mean, and that's what we work from. So as we discuss stuff on the forums, we just move it over into the design doc. Like
right, and
everybody does.
We can all contribute to it. I prefer it like when we talk about it first because I get really fucking pissed off when people write in the design document and like leave out commas and stuff because I'm a Nazi about that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty democratic.
Yeah, on the side of useless lore, I wrote a lot of like pretty much useless lore, like how technology of like one biome works, and how was the timeline of this of technological advancement, and how exactly magic works down to subatomic, submolecular level of like quantum mechanics. I've essentially like rewritten quantum mechanics to explain why would magic be possible within the game, and you know it's all really useless, but it's so much fun that, you know, maybe we're gonna put it on the wiki or in the game. And the thing that is really cool is that allows us to make really coherent design because we always have some like lower layer of abstraction to fall back to. And as well, like everyone's welcome, everyone's on team welcome to contribute to.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick, your accent made that description sound so awesome, by the way.
Yeah, we did.
When I was reading the synopsis of the game, right, like enter a world divided between magic and, you know, science, and it's taking place in a separate, you know, removed part of the world. To me, it reminded me a lot of Lost.
I can see that.
I could see that. It's
yeah. I would say more like
I haven't heard that before.
You know, because especially since your logo is like, you know, an island in the middle of nowhere. You know, so
right.
It's basically faith versus science. So I was like, I've seen that. To me, that's what it
actually, yeah, I see where you're coming from now. Yeah,
I mean, there is like lots of conflict between magic and science in literature, so we have tons of references to take from.
So for those people who are listening and they're not familiar with the game at all, can you guys kind of give a synopsis on what it is, like if they end up playing the game?
So Elysian Shadows started off as an old school style RPG, 2D RPG influenced by like Phantasy Star, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana.
Shining Force.
as we were developing this game, we found ourselves like adding more things that were not in these older games. Like we started adding physics engines, we started adding lighting systems, we started adding dynamic positional audio, we started transitioning the camera from 2D to 3D, and before we knew it, we had this game that was not at all old school anymore. And like at that point, we kind of realized and rebranded ourselves as a next-gen 2D RPG. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to marry aspects of the old school 16-bit RPGs with advanced modern rendering techniques and things that you would find in modern games, and try to make something that's like old and nostalgic, but like completely clean and fresh and new at the same time.
Right. So it's almost like if RPGs in games never really transition to 3D, this would be kind of like the next evolutionary step. In that 2D.
You know, actually, it is. You know, the game is actually 3D. Here's the Ouya running right now at a weird camera perspective, and especially now we've been playing a lot with dynamic transitions. The world is truly rendered in full 3D. The 2D overhead view is just like looking at the camera from top down. So we're playing with a lot of different perspectives in that manner.
Essentially, like visuals, what happens if you want to have pixel art with all the bells and whistles of newest, next gen, whatever?
Right. So we have bump mapping, specular highlights, dynamic lights, in that we have point lights, spotlights, directional lights, shadow mapping. Yeah, shadow mapping. Blast processing, yeah, and we actually did the same thing from an audio perspective too. Connor, you want to fill them in on how we kind of married old and new with the audio?
Yeah, well, when they made games back in the day, they had them on chips, and they were limited to this crappy tiny hardware, and they couldn't do very much. But we're in 2014. I have a studio in my basement that's more powerful than probably what Metallica recorded the Black Album on, you know? So what we're doing is we have the chip tune, we have Sega. I sampled Sega Genesis drums, like that classic Sonic the Hedgehog drum set. And but if I want to throw in giant strings or a giant choir or guitars, real drums, vocals, I can just throw anything I want in. So it's paying tribute to Chrono Trigger or whatever, but at the same time, it's like OC Remix, but just on crack.
He submitted this boss demo that just fucking blew me away, dude. It's like it starts out with this really brooding, distorted guitar, and then it has this epic bass drop, and then the fucking Sonic the Hedgehog 2 drums kick in, and it's this fucking metal electronica Genesis shit going on, man.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
I listen to that at the gym now. I'm like, damn.
Can we get a sample?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, we could do that. We could give him a sample. What do you think, Connor?
I don't have it on me. If you got it, but sure.
I do have it.
I have it. If you don't,
yeah, go for it.
Can they hear it? If I play it, would you hear it?
I think you might have to play it through your speakers for us to.
I think I could do that because I'm currently using XSplit to feed my webcam. So if you can just send me the file.
All right.
It's in the Dropbox, fool.
Oh, wait, is it okay? So yeah, I thought I got it. Give me a sec. I just need to find it.
It's ESDev underneath Connor's music. Boston.mp3.
No, we can't hear it.
Oh crap.
Boss demo?
Well,
that's the one thing about Google Hangouts. It doesn't allow you to play files or anything through your thing.
It's a shame.
It's boss demo, Patrick.
Skype lets you do that.
So I'm testing this very much. So
yeah, it is very much a demo. Connor already.
Can you hear it?
About it, so.
Nope.
No, sadly not.
Actually, it is
I will find a way.
It is kind of worth explaining that, I think when most soundtrack people make music, they make a song and then they complete the song and move on to the next one. But when rock bands usually make albums, they make demos of every single song and they know what the album's going to sound like, and then they re-record everything so that it all sounds like it fits together instead of these separate things. So I'm making like demos of the entire soundtrack, and as we get closer to the end of the game, then I'm gonna pretty much re-record everything and make sure it all fits together. Because something I do in Lauren now, the first town that you start in, I might be doing crazy other stuff 6 months from now, and I want to make sure that it all kind of ties together and stuff. So.
Connor, I have a question for you. In addition to doing the soundtrack, you are also doing the sound effects for the game, right?
Yeah, and a bit of level design now.
Oh, okay. So I've played every single indie Dreamcast game that has been released, and I can confidently say that it relies on some of the best indie musicians, and the music never disappoints. However, very few games focus on the sound. Somehow, in video games, in indie video games, the sound takes a backseat to the music. Like I was playing Geeks recently. It's got awesome music, but the gun, but the spaceship doesn't even have a sound for the bullets, and the enemies don't make any, noises at all. So that kind of threw me out. I was like, this, have you done anything to combat that in Elysian Shadows?
Well, yes. Yeah, there's two points about that. Is one that if you throw a lot of I guess for like most companies or whatever, if you throw a lot of your power at the audio, you don't get the same benefits as if you throw a lot of power at the graphics, right? So that's why a lot of developers, I think, just kind of shit the bed when it comes to audio and don't put too much effort in. But for us, I mean, like if I have footsteps when you're in water, there's going to be 20 different footsteps, and it's going to cycle through all of them randomly, so you never just hear the same over and over again. We have 3D positional sounds, so it'll be in the left headphone, it'll be in the right headphone, depending on where the player is. If there's a bridge over top of you, you'll hear that the sound is over top of you. Like
it is truly, the sound is actually 3D positional, not just 2D.
Yeah.
Like when this motherfucker joined the team, he made this like gigantic forum post. He's like, all right, this is the audio engine we need to have, and I'm like, either this guy is like amazing or he's like really shitty. Like to just come in and ask that. So like we
the audacity.
Yeah, the fucking audacity of this guy. It's
How
like,
dare you?
How dare he? So we spent like a month architecting this audio engine that, I mean, it's very impressive. So like one of the things he wanted to be able to do is environmentally reactive music, to where like you enter like the forest and maybe you have like this kind of calm loop, a couple instruments, and then maybe you aggro an enemy, like it picks up a little bit, and then maybe you start getting your ass beat, and like it picks up even more. And this is all changing dynamically, so it changes with the environment.
Something like Headhunter, right? Where you had like the radius, when enemies would come, the music would come, and the enemies would get, the music would die down.
Right.
No one played Headhunter.
Hey,
Graham did.
He also has a couple of auxiliary tracks, so he can overlay shit like thunder, lightning, things like that. We can dynamically modify pitches at runtime. The music itself can also be positional. So like if we have like some creepy ass scary ruins, like the background theme in those ruins could be coming from a jukebox in the corner of the room, something like that. We really have a lot of power to play with. Yeah.
He was also talking about, and this has not been implemented yet or tested, but Connor was wanting to hook into some of the map metadata that we have and kind of be able to figure out like the size of some of the rooms and like the caves and whatnot, to where when you enter like a larger room or a smaller room, you can actually have these sound effects reverb a little bit differently, bouncing off the walls or sound differently based on the space in which the sound is happening.
Oh, you would, Connor.
It's crazy stuff, man.
Deal with it. You just gotta program it. That's your job.
Dude, I'm the engine guy, and like they're like, okay, we need like 5,000 lights. I need like 50 fucking auxiliary tracks. And I'm just like, oh, I hate all of you.
Yeah, like
honestly, I love you guys, but damn.
I still complain. I'm like, Falco, I need more auxiliary tracks. Falco, I need more auxiliary tracks.
Yeah. And then I comment, hey, could I get like 2 or 3 more layers for my tiles? That would be great.
Oh, you guys are gonna kill the Dreamcast.
It's gonna explode.
All right. Okay. So just a quick announcement. I would like to welcome Kopke. He has just joined us in the podcast. Kopke is our graphic artist. So he's going to be asking some of the tougher questions now. And I believe Tyler has to go and celebrate Father's Day, right?
Yes. Yep. I gotta go to Father's Day dinner. So we started a little late,
Fuck
so
outta
it
here.
put me behind schedule here.
Uh-oh.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Tyler. It was really fun having you, and we hope to have you again in the future.
No, absolutely. It's been great, guys.
Yeah, Tyler,
Cheers.
you're the bomb.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the file now. So
Awesome.
this is how high tech we're gonna do. I'm actually gonna play it and just put my headphones to the mic.
Yes.
And we'll see how that works.
SEGA Nerd's way.
2014, motherfuckers.
Well, no one has ever heard this on the internet, so.
They got nerd.
Yeah.
exclusives.
So they're gonna hear the best version of it possible.
Yes.
I know, yeah.
Oh god. All right.
Love it.
All right. Here we go.
A little quiet, man.
So quiet.
Yeah, it's like
There we go. Hear them fucking Sonic drums?
Definitely layered.
It just repeats. You could stop it there if you want.
Sounds badass. I like it. It's great.
You into it. Start strong.
Well, Chris hasn't actually heard it because he's holding it to the microphone, so he'll have missed out.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good. Let's get back to the podcast, Chris.
You should tell him.
yeah.
He's rocking out.
That sounds really good though. I really like the drums sound fantastic. In fact, the Genesis Mega Drive drum effects have always sounded amazing to me, so marries really well there. So I really like it. Sounds good.
I want to go kill something now.
Dude, I know. I listen to that shit at the gym, and I'm like, oh my god.
I got it.
That
Awesome.
was awesome.
So when do we get to, like, I know you have an extensive amount of in-game footage and developmental libraries available on Adventures in Game Development, but when do the normal gamers get to get a glimpse of the game, like maybe a trailer or something? You know, we're all really excited.
Well, I'd like to think the normal gamer should watch Adventures in Game Development, but no, actually we're working on a bunch of stuff because our Kickstarter is August 1st, so we are working on, we want to do a bunch of, like, not quite videos, but whatever little animation-y things they have going on a bunch of Kickstarters for the sites. Have different sections in the site where, like, you have little in-game clips of, like, the battle engine, the dynamic day-night system, the lighting, the shadows. So you can see all of these, like, next-gen-y effects that, you know, we're hyping up about the game and the engine, and you'll be able to see it, like, embedded in the site. That's something we really wanted to do. And with the Kickstarter August 1st, we're also going to have to obviously have a bunch of videos going for that, and the big Kickstarter sales pitch, which is where we're definitely going to show off a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So we you know started talking about the Kickstarter, so now we should probably just get in that. So that's a big thing, this Kickstarter project. I mean, you guys are it's about a month and a half away from launching this thing.
Yes.
You know, there's been some really high profile Kickstarter projects that a lot of people were thinking were going to be really successful, but they ended up coming out and they ended up failing. Some games that games that people really loved, like Lee. I know General Chaos is one of them. I mean, we had what was the Monster World one, Lee, that failed not too long ago.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it exactly. Hamster, Flying Hamster 2, something like that.
Yeah, Flying Hamster 2 was another one. It was amazing.
It looks so good.
There's been so many games out there that their campaigns have failed. So what is it? I mean, what are you guys taking into this Kickstarter campaign that you guys are going to be able to take some of that stuff that you've seen, some of the failures in the past, and apply that to this campaign to try to assure that's going to be a success?
We've actually spent months studying the successful and the unsuccessful Kickstarter campaigns. I mean, I've bought books on this. I've done all
There's
of the
books
research
already?
and homework. Oh, dude, there are books on crowdsourcing. I shit you not. Like, I used to not be able to sleep thinking about this. And not only that, but we've been doing podcasts like this. We've been doing interviews. We just got a publishing deal from Watermelon. We're getting backed by the Ouya scene now, which is actually a pretty big deal. They're endorsing us. They're about to do a big special on us when August 1st, when the Kickstarter launches. And
is that Ouya, like what was the name of it? They had this project. It was like Fund the Games or something like that. Are they still doing that?
They have a project that if a developer can meet their target for a game, then they will double it. If you have to raise like $100, you raise it, we will also give you $100.
Right, in exchange for a period of exclusivity, yes.
So how is multi-platform?
Do what?
So what about multi-platform? I thought it was on Dreamcast.
Well, actually, we talked to them, and one that excludes Windows, Mac, and Linux, and two, the guys in the Ouya, we haven't gotten confirmation, absolutely sure just yet, but from the developer relations guys we've talked to and everyone we've talked to, they are almost positive that the Ouya scene will make an exception for the Sega Dreamcast, because is the Ouya really competing with the Dreamcast?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like what are you saying to the gaming community if you will not allow that to come out for the Dreamcast along with the Ouya? You know, like you're kind of sending a message that you are still competing with that market. You know, I don't think we'll have any problem there.
So you guys are going to try to get into the Free the Games Fund?
We are actually. We've been talking with a bunch of Ouya people, and it's been going really well. We're trying to really hit that community as hard as we can, you know, because I feel like there's a big hole for like real big quality epic games on the console. No offense to anyone else, but you know, we're kind of trying to fill that niche, and
no, it's great because I am an avid Ouya owner. I love the system. I think it has a lot of potential, but you're right. There's not a lot of those, like those really, high quality games out there. There's games, certainly there's games that are out there that fit that mold, but from the RPG standpoint, I think there's some left to be desired there. But it's great that you guys, are going to, do the Ouya. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. Stayed up all night working on it, God.
It's then, another thing is that. Right.
No, go for it, Patrick.
I just want to say that the period of exclusivity is PCs, blah blah blah, and Ouya, and probably Dreamcast, but not consoles. So if someone is not a PC gamer, the advantage of Ouya, and they would like to play on a console, the advantage of Ouya is that it's so cheap that they could just buy it for Elysian Shadows, and maybe you could get a bundle Elysian Shadows Ouya or something like that.
I might just do that.
Well, he just announced the exclusive Ouya Elysian Shadows bundle. I think that we just heard that.
That'd be sweet. And like with custom paint job on the Ouya. Oh, that'd be awesome.
Also, while we're talking about this, I just need to go ahead and mention this. The period of exclusivity is only for 6 months, is the requirement. And during those 6 months, we'll be able to focus, depending on the Kickstarter, we'll have stretch goals for obviously all the modern consoles, from like the Vita, the 3DS, Xbox One, PS4. Basically, I wrote this engine from ground up, being multi-platform. It's extremely easy for us to move this to other platforms. So after the game has been launched for like the Ouya, the Dreamcast, and the PC, assuming we meet these stretch goals, then we can begin moving it over to these other platforms. And after that period of exclusivity is up, then we'll be able to launch it on there too. So that basically we'll be using that time to move the build over and get it tested and running on other devices.
Right. So and that's the thing. Some people they may get upset by the fact that they can't get it on their chosen platform because there is an exclusivity agreement within that. But the thing is, though, that they have to keep in mind that by doing that, Ouya is essentially matching dollar for dollar what you guys raise in your Kickstarter campaign up to $250,000. So by doing that, they're going to they're going to get a better game because
they
there's
are
that much.
Absolutely going to get a better game, and they would probably already have to wait because it would already take time for us to move it over to those platforms anyway. So, and we were already running on the Android, so the Ouya build wasn't really that much extra work, Whereas as moving to something like a PlayStation Vita or a 3DS with a brand new development kit and new development environment, will just based on the platform, it will intrinsically take longer to do that, So it's really not affecting the game release date for any of those platforms. Truly, it's not. It's just helping us make a better game.
Right.
There's also the point that we're underdogs. We're indie. We're just doing it by ourselves. The Ouya is the underdog of the console world. I'll always side with the underdog, especially when they're as passionate about what they're doing as the Ouya guys are. And to be completely honest, the next console I buy is going to be an Ouya. It's not going to be a PS4. It's not going to be an Xbone. It's not going to be whatever.
Xbone.
At least for me, I'm very happy that
Microsoft's not going to work with it now.
Yeah, I mean, those guys really care, honestly. Like, we had a Skype meeting with an official developer relations guy, and it was really nice. Like, he was very supportive. We showed off like a little demo. They truly care about their developers, which is like a fucking far cry from every other game company out there. So like, that is a console that we take pride in being able to target right now. So.
Yeah, they even offered us to send someone to help us to make the Ouya build even better. So they really care, as opposed to others.
So
that's really awesome.
So August 1st, pre-orders open on August 1st via Kickstarter.
Can you guys talk any more in depth on Kickstarter as far as what do you have a stretch your base goal in mind? Can you talk about that at all? Like how much you guys are looking at?
We have not completely decided, but it is almost certain it will be somewhere 150K ish range. It's not completely set in stone.
Okay.
But there's like a certain. Basically, it has to support me and Tyler for a year, and it has to be able to support art, new audio equipment, and basically any equipment we need. And if we can't do that, none of us want to commit to making a game if we don't have the funds to make like the game that we all fucking dreamed of, that we all are working this hard to make. I would rather fail than get a Kickstarter and not actually have enough money to make this happen, or succeed at the Kickstarter and the game is not everything we wanted it to be.
Right.
Yeah, right now I'm sort of dancing between my full-time job. I still haven't quit my job, just so I can work on ES for free, because I have money to sustain myself, so I don't need money from Kickstarter. And after that we'll see how it goes, whether we're gonna nail it or not. But every one of us is trying to find the most optimal way and the most safe way to be sure that we will be able to make Elysian Shadows the way we want.
And we have a whole bunch of community support, man. Our publisher Watermelon they've been amazing. They're amazing guys. They've offered to hook us up with dev kits for all of the other platforms. Actually, Tulio from Watermelon's planning to come out and visit July 4th, talk business with us, hang out, dev with us. Yeah, we're pretty close with them, and they've offered a lot of support.
Yeah, we've had Tulio on actually to talk about Pierre Solar a while back. That game's supposed to be releasing here soon, so we're really excited for that. But talk a little bit about that, because we published that story on Sega Nerds not too long ago about that you guys ended up getting this publishing deal with Watermelon to release physical Dreamcast versions of Elysian Shadows. How did that come about?
That's actually a cool story. We had all known of Pierre Solar from the Genesis and Mega Drive. Like, I had always personally admired Tulio, and I thought it was fucking amazing that he developed something as awesome as Pierre Solar for something as limited spec-wise as the Sega Genesis. Like, I had always respected the guy. And so one day I just get an email from Tulio of Watermelon. Apparently, like, the respect has been mutual, and he's been following Adventures in Game Development for quite a while. Like, this is a guy who has watched all of our footage, who understands what our project is about, who clearly shares our vision. You know, like that was very refreshing to me to know, you know, that he's out there watching us, you know, that he knows what we're doing. This isn't just a guy who's like, oh, I want to publish you, you know, get your name with my name, you know. It's more like a brotherhood, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
A Square Enix for old school games.
What I really like about it is that we're kind of like aligning ourselves with people that, I mean, I think like I guess I shouldn't name any big companies, but there are obviously companies that are just like, just put out a game and make us money. We do not care. We just want success. Whereas we're aligning. Yeah, but like I've talked to the other guys on the team. Like we love games. Our primary goal is just to make a game that we would have loved growing up. Like that's the goal, and we're aligning ourselves with people that have that passion. And I think that that's why this game is going to be awesome, and that we're making good decisions, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's why it's gone as far as it has. I mean, Falco and Tyler could have just quit at any time, but they're so into what they're doing, and we're also into what we're doing, that, you know, aligning with Watermelon and Ouya and all this stuff. I mean, everybody's so passionate about it that it's just all good decisions.
You know, we brought something up. I think, B, I think you were on the show a couple weeks ago when we brought this up, actually. And we were talking about this. We were talking about how there's this continued interest in Dreamcast development throughout the years. I mean, the Dreamcast has been, gone for a long time now. But the development community is still there. And we were saying, how cool it would be if SEGA actually got involved and started helping some of these really good indie developers like yourselves to publish games on the Dreamcast. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, if SEGA actually actively helping development on the Dreamcast.
Honestly, I don't see why they don't, dude. I mean, they have a console here that without a mod chip or anything can boot mill CDs. They have a giant scene of people who reverse engineered the motherfucker, to do this. It's timeless at this point. It was their last console. It holds like a significance in gaming history, and there's a lot of passionate people who are still developing for it. It wouldn't cost them anything to release like the development kits or like somehow give you like a tool to more easily publish games or press these discs. It wouldn't take them much of anything. And another thing that I wanted to mention for the sake of ES also is that the Dreamcast really died before, honestly, its full potential was unlocked. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We have one of my mentors from DC Emulation, who we grew up like developing on the Dreamcast together. I swear to God, this guy reads the fucking SH4 tech document every night before bed. We've found things, and we're doing things in Elysian Shadows that no commercial Dreamcast game ever made use of. Like bump mapping, for example. I know of one scene in Shenmue 2, a static scene with like a penny, and that was the only time bump mapping was ever used in a commercial game.
Oh, wow.
And there are other things like hardware texture compression plus paletted sprites. There's just a lot of power that was never unlocked for the console that, first of all, with all the stuff we're doing with ES, I will honestly say we are going to be pushing this to its absolute limits, and we're already like, with everything we do, we're like on the edge of we're about to run out of video RAM and RAM. Seriously. So this is like, I think we're all committed to trying to make like the crowning achievement of the Dreamcast. That's really something that we want to try to do. We want people to see, like, play ES with, like, the dynamic lights and shit, and be like, holy fuck, that's a Sega Dreamcast? That's kind of like an internal goal of ours.
And I don't know I can't remember if we were actually on air when we were talking about this before or not, but you guys are actually planning a VMU-specific minigame for the Dreamcast version, too, right?
Yes, we are, yes. Well, Taylor, we couldn't release it for the Dreamcast without the VMU. So,
right.
So in-game, obviously, we are going to display some kind of useful content. That's something that we absolutely want to do. And then something to the extent, we haven't decided the exact specifics, but something to the extent of like Chow Adventure or some kind of standalone full mini game that you can go out and either like level your characters, like find items, do some kind of grinding or leveling on the VMU.
God, that sounds so awesome.
And another thing that we mentioned on another podcast is, well, first of all, I own every Dreamcast peripheral that ever happened. I have like the all the light guns, the karaoke machine, the maracas, the camera, all that.
I want that MP3 player. I know it was just like a prototype, but God, that looked awesome. The VMU MP3 player.
But like I grew up like developing for all these devices, and it would be really easy for us to have in-game mini games where like, you know, the Dreamcast collector's like, oh shit, let me bust out my maracas for a Samba de Amigo.
Wow, yeah.
So that's something like I personally really want to do. I feel like that would be awesome.
One of the things for me with the VMU is that the two Harry Potter games on Game Boy Color are like two of my all-time favorite RPGs. So if we weren't going to use the VMU just to do some cool RPG-ish thing, I would be very upset.
Oh, absolutely. I would say we failed the Dreamcast if we don't do that.
That's an excellent idea, just to figure out things to use the peripheral, like even like the microphone or something. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, totally. But like, it's me playing with my toys, man. They'll just wind up in the game.
That's very awesome.
I mean, you know, if you're gonna show a peripheral to Falco, like he will try to develop a ES for it. Last time, like we had a discussion in chat about supporting what was that? Oculus Rift, just for the sake of it. And then he actually started thinking like, how would it be possible to hook Oculus Rift to Dreamcast?
Oh, we could totally.
Oh my God. That is awesome. So, okay, so, you know, this is an RPG that we're talking now, and, you know, a lot of people, when they talk RPGs, they talk time. That's almost like a judgment. That's like a baseline that they you know, the RPG community uses for RPGs. Right. What are you guys, like, targeting for you know, the length of what it will, you know, averagely take?
I think we've been trying to target, at least Tyler and I talked about, first of all, we wanted it to be about 40 hours storyline, but all of us are so into like doing side quests and Easter eggs and having like this world where there's far more to do than just progress in the storyline. We want to give people, it's very exploration based, has a very in-depth combat system. We want you always to have like a whole bunch of options available to you that is not just like grinding and going to the next town. So with that in mind, you could think something more like 100 hours, you know, to do everything. That's more like the scale that we were hoping for.
Yeah, our toolkit is just so retardedly easy to use. It makes added content like that. Like we can just think out a like extra area, extra zone, extra side quest, and do it in a matter of hours. So you know, it's like creating content is really easy.
Yeah, like I remember in an interview, John Carmack was talking about how when they made like Wolfenstein 3D in Doom, they could just make a level in a day, whereas you know when they do Rage or whatever now, it takes them like a month or something. I mean, when we can just make awesome levels actually pretty quickly. So we're gonna pump tons of content into it.
Right, like we developed our own. I don't know if you guys knew this, but we developed our own toolkit from scratch for ES. I have it over here actually. So. This is ESTK, and it manages all the levels, all the 3D stuff. It's built from the ground up for this game. And actually, you can play the engine here. There's a drop-down. I can pick Dreamcast here, and I can submit my level over the network and play it on the Dreamcast as I develop it. I mean, it's highly optimized for our workflow, highly user-friendly for the content creators. It was made for artists and stuff to allow them to tap into the power of the engine without necessarily having to have like a significant programming background.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that was actually something we're considering releasing, like an alpha version of this toolkit in the Kickstarter. And a stretch goal that we've proposed is this is exactly what we're using to make the game, is this toolkit. And the engine's fully extensible via Lewis scripting. We were considering, if we get enough funding, releasing the engine and the tools to a modding community and allowing the world of Elysian Shadows to grow based on everyone else's contributions. And even on the Dreamcast, you can burn swap discs, you can stream levels through the BBA, or you can put them on the Dreamcast SD card. So there's plenty of options for DLC, for user-generated content. The way we architected these tools is just the options are really unlimited.
Yeah, one of the most powerful toolkits that I am familiar with the games is the Warcraft 3 level editor, and we're just as powerful, if not more. So it's like even lower layer than that. So you could potentially create. Yes.
I said, "Why, thank you. You thoroughly stroked my ego."
So so you could create entirely different games. Like you could create a side scroller within Elysian Shadows toolkit, which still seems like totally different, but it's not that hard to change. So you could create entirely different games with it. So that's
Speaking of that, we have a full. So I developed a full 2D rigid body physics engine as a graduate school project that I secretly did so that I could work on Elysian Shadows in grad school. So literally all I have to do is apply a force in the Y direction and everything falls and you have a 2D platformer with gravity. And the physics engine actually plays quite a bit into the gameplay. It was something that at the inception of ES we'd always imagined would be a pretty important gameplay mechanic. Like you can pick objects up, they have variable masses, different weights, different moments of inertia. You can throw them different distances based on your strength. You can shatter these objects and they're recursively added back into the physics engine and then they interact with other objects. You can pick up barrels and fucking throw them at enemies, and it hurts them and does damage to them. You can
based on the weight of the barrel and the speed and your strength and
You can drop potions from your inventory and smack people in the head with them and they shatter. That was something that we really wanted to use to add depth to the combat engine. And
what I found amazing is that it can turn into a 2D platformer. That means you could go Sonic the Hedgehog in the middle of the game.
Oh, you totally can.
You just
in chapter 24, I did it, man. It's one line in the game becomes a 2D platformer.
Wow.
Yes. So our engine is highly modifiable via Lua scripting. So you get the engine, you can literally do anything.
Okay. So for the sake of the Dreamcast community, I have to ask, since you said you are the engine can go into different genres, the question is, can we have a shooting game in it, a shmup, a space shmup?
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's
yes.
You could have physics-based.
Absolutely can. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Awesome. Fantastic. That is amazing. I am super psyched for this game. I'm also super psyched for Pier Solar, which we don't know when it's coming, but it's coming.
Yeah, I think you've sold me on an Ouya, definitely. After Chris's speech last week, I would definitely love to pick up an Ouya to play this. Because like you say, Ouya is generally a pretty cheap system to get.
It is, yeah. It's under $100, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that you can get it for $60 now or something, even?
Oh,
That's
damn.
really good.
Damn, that is really good.
I definitely love just like a little box to play this on. It would be awesome. So I'll be looking into that. And so the Kickstarter starts the 1st of August, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
That should be really cool. Hopefully you guys will have lots of luck. Because Chris is saying, all these Kickstarters have failed, but so many Kickstarters have not failed, and they've done really well. And I think, you guys seem to have a really good team put together.
Yeah, we're a little worried. We're trying to stay not too cocky because then we get reckless. We're trying to stay scared enough to be careful, but we have truly done our homework. We've been reaching out to the press. I feel like we have studied and we've done everything right leading up to this Kickstarter that we could possibly do.
And I think the Kickstarters that failed, they didn't have any momentum built up from the start. They just went on Kickstarter and say, "Hey, we're making this old school game. Give us money." While we started building momentum, and we've been building momentum since we started, and then we really amped up to the 11 in the last couple of months. So when we're gonna hit the Kickstarter, we're gonna hit hard, and then we're just gonna get harder.
Yeah, we've spent the last 6 months knowing that we were going to do a Kickstarter. We're not about just to go in blindly. We've been doing PR, podcasts, promotions, interviews, lectures around town. I just did an interview for my university. I mean, we've really been getting the word out there for our project, introducing people to who we are, and we've always been very interactive with our fans in that, you know, if they have suggestions or they don't like something or they have questions, I mean, we're on YouTube, we're chatting with them, we're talking to them. Message me on Facebook and tell me you fucking hate ES. I'll be like, well, I'll probably say fuck you, but I would like to know why, you know, and I might take your criticism into account.
Yeah, and look up Connor Linning on Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Check me out, man. Send me mail.
Yeah, definitely.
Shameless promotion.
It sounds really good because, like you say, so many Kickstarters have just gone in. James Pond was one big one for me, where it was literally like a few sketches, and it said, "We want to make a new James Pond game," and there was nothing beyond these 3 or 4 sketches. So, definitely got a lot more content.
If you guys, if you have like an hour, I would really encourage you to watch Adventures in Game Development Chapter 25, and you can really see how much of the game we have done, which is it's a significant amount. I mean, we have a complete engine, a complete toolkit that is like handwritten to run this game of our dreams, and at this point it's just funding the asset creation and the scripting to make it all happen. The technology is there. We're ready to hit the ground running. We're not asking for money to start from scratch. You know, this is something that we've already invested years into doing, and it's absolutely ready to you know, for funding.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing with Kickstarter. So I think fingers crossed, it's going to go really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would really love to get you guys back on in August when the Kickstarter you know, finally launches.
Yeah, totally.
I would really like to do that. I know I'm personally going to be investing in it. I don't know if you'd call it an investment or so much as contributing. I don't know what the right term there is, but I'm going to give you my money. I know that because I do like what I've seen.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely. And the thing is, like, for me, I love the Dreamcast so much, and I love the Dreamcast development community so much that, you know, if I find a little studio that's serious about developing on the Dreamcast, I want to help them in any way I can, whether it be, you know, giving them my money from a monetary standpoint, or using Sega Nerds to help, you know, drum up awareness about the game. Like, I want to do everything I can to help that, because I want to see the Dreamcast development community continue to grow and just continue to stay alive. You know, I think it's important.
And, you know, it's been really rewarding for us because, you know, there is a Dreamcast community, but we've really been exploding in the mainstream lately. I mean, we're on Reddit and places where people have no fucking clue that there are still games being made for a Dreamcast, you know? Sites where they're just like, what the fuck, you know? And we have this opportunity to introduce people to the fact that the Dreamcast is not dead. I mean, there are still crazy people like us developing software for it.
I had people asking what's Dreamcast, so, you know. Like, there are people that don't know what Dreamcast is, and they still want to support Elysian Shadows, which is just mind-blowing.
And you see, like, the comments on our YouTube channels and like, on the press releases and stuff where people are literally saying, dude, I'm going to buy a Dreamcast just for this game, even though it's coming out on other platforms. I'd like to think that we're also helping to, like, you know, energize the Dreamcast scene, you know, with trying to do something.
You can have a Dreamcast bundle in addition to an Ouya bundle. Copy of Elysian Shadows with a Dreamcast.
Totally.
So, I'm gonna buy an Ouya just to play Elysian Shadows. So.
I do know that what Tulio is, he's all about the deluxe hard copies with like all the extras and like the professional prints and all that. So I know that he's gonna go all out with that. He's all about authenticity, and yeah, there was like a podcast or something where he's talking about he had to like fly somewhere to get the official exact screw matching type for the Sega Genesis version of Pure Solar. Like, the freaking screws. Like, he needed it to be that authentic, so he's legit. So
we need to get him back on the show too.
So we get all the swag.
Awesome. So, you know what? I think that's gonna wrap up our chat with you guys about the Elysian Shadows. I'm really looking forward to that. But before we move on to our next segment, really quickly, can you guys just tell our listeners where they can learn more about the game and follow you guys?
Yeah, check out our website. It does a pretty good job of explaining, giving like a high-level rundown of the game, showing some flashy screenshots. But then the biggest thing, if you really want to dive into it and know the most about it, check out the Adventures in Game Development series on YouTube. We're on chapter 25 now. We have over 9,000 subscribers, and it's really been taking off. That's really why this team has become so famous within the indie game development community is because of this series where we show you literally every aspect of game development behind the scenes, from the art, the music, the coding, the substance abuse, staying up all night, the engine crashing. I mean, it is real. It's raw. This is really how games are made, and check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to our next segment, where we're just going to kind of shoot the shit about E3. So let's start off with Sega. Now, one of the things, they really didn't show or surprise us with any new games like we were hoping for. I mean, I think they had Alien Isolation, which is a big game. Then they had the 2 Sonic Boom games on the 3DS and on the Wii U. What else did they have? They had shit.
They actually had
on the Nintendo booth.
Bayonetta 2, right?
Yes, yeah, of course.
You know what? I don't know, man. It's so hard for me to consider that a Sega game. I know that they own the IP, but really, I mean, Sega. I'd like to see how much involvement Sega really has in that game.
Well, Nintendo could never make that game without Sega's approval, so it's partly their game also. It's more of Platinum's idea.
I feel like it's just kind of some Sega people's like way of just be like, you know what, like trying to make it sound better than E3 really was. They had also Hatsune Miku Project Diva F2 that was there. What else? There was another game. There were 4 main console games that was there. I guess that would be it. What'd you say?
No, the mobile games. You forgot about them.
And then they had some mobile games. But I guess the one big surprise coming out of E3 from Sega was the announcement that they were going to be making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie with Sony. So when that was announced, that really came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone was really, planning for that. I talked to Tom Kalinske not too long ago on the podcast, and he actually said that there was some talk back then in the early 90s about bringing a Sonic the Hedgehog movie to the theaters, but they saw what Nintendo did and how they failed with Super Mario Brothers, the movie, and they decided to kind of go a different way, and they ended up making the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons, which, as you guys know, I mean, those were wildly successful. I mean, they're still going on today. Sonic Boom, the cartoon, is going to be launching later this year, so that was really successful, but a actual feature-length movie has never happened up to this point. What do you guys think of that? I mean, they announced that it's going to be a blend of CGI and live action.
So there's real people. It's not like.
Yeah.
That's what it made.
I'm really scared.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared, man.
Just from design perspective, like how are you going to design a creature that's fundamentally cartoon-ish, and because pixel art and stuff like that, and Sonic translates well into cartoon, but how on earth is he going to translate into live action? Like with this giant one eyeball that he has, like how is it going to work? I'm done.
Hey, I want to know are they going to use the Knuckles that's on all the steroids in this movie, or like is it the
I think it's going to be more of a traditional style. I don't think it's going to be the Sonic Boom characters.
No, anything can happen now. They've been changing Sonic a lot in these areas. Actually, because the movie is oriented to the American audience, I think we're going to have something related to that. Other thing about it is that there were, before the whole Sonic Boom thing started, there were rumors about this movie, and nobody believed them, so this only confirms that. And it's gonna, like the predictions they made, they all turned out real, so who knows how this is gonna turn out. I trusted the animation studio because they really made really well-polished animations. They actually made a Captain Harlock movie. I actually watched that one. I didn't like the story, but the animation was really well done. And actually, people that are in that studio, which I can't remember the name right now,
The
have
Marza Animation Planet.
Thank you. And that studio, some people in there were like former Final Fantasy animators, so it looks like kind of those type of style right now. They actually are behind another production with Toei, which is the Saint Seiya movie, which is gonna be debuting this summer. So I think I think it's kind of 50-50 on how this can turn out well or bad. It depends on the story.
It's just weird that, like, why now? Why now?
Yeah, I know, that is really
Sega
weird.
come out with a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, because it seems like it just. I know there's. I guess you could say there's some momentum in the the Sonic universe with the Sonic Boom coming out. They're coming out with the new toy line and then the cartoon. So there is some momentum. I wonder. If they're going to go the Sonic Boom route, but it's just weird. It seems like if they were going to do this. Back in the 90s would have been the time, right?
Right, yeah.
Don't know. Well, maybe.
It all depends on Sonic Team. You see, Sonic Boom wouldn't have happened if Sonic Team did not approve it. So, I'm sure most of you would have seen the live-action fan film that Blue Core Studios made.
Yeah.
So I think it has more to do with Sega requiring money right now than let's make a Sonic movie because for this.
Blue Core Studios had actually gone to Sega and they wanted to make it into a feature film. That was their plan. But and Sega of America was interested, but Sonic Team shut it down. And right now, like you said, that maybe Sonic Team has a financial deficit, and they're like, okay, we need to bring in some money. So they're being a little more liberal about it. But I think the interest has always been there. It's been more about bureaucracy rather than demand.
I don't know.
I think it has. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Go for it, man.
No. The thing. I think. Okay. Sorry again.
Wait. Do you want me to go? Can I go?
Sure, yeah, you go.
I'm sorry. This is some Sonic the Hedgehog fan film that we're.
Oh boy.
It's
I
good.
wasn't a big fan of this, I've got to say.
Look, it's not based on the video games. It's based on the Saturn.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's got Jaleel White voicing Sonic, which was a really cool thing, because he voiced Sonic in the original cartoons. But it's got that same problem, like the mishmash of kind of a 3D modeled Sonic with live-action actors just doesn't work, in my opinion. And I think this company sounds really good, and all of their previous films, I don't know if they've ever kind of mishmashed 3D with real-life actors before, but I'm very, very skeptical, I've got to say.
I'll be the first one to come out and admit it, that I kind of hope that this movie is going to be successful, only because I would like to see what the inevitable porn parody movie is going to be like.
I can just see guys painted blue. That's gonna be so sexy.
It's going to be the official furry movie that it's going to be the go-to furry movie.
What the fuck?
And you just know how they're gonna use the golden rings.
You have single-handedly managed to make me go against the movie. I was all for it. I want it.
No, don't want it now.
It's going to be amazing. Like, what if this actually is an awesome movie? That would be hilarious. Like,
That would be
everyone's
great.
I don't think anyone thinks this movie is going to be really good. But what if they actually pull it off? And I don't know how they could possibly make a good Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, it's kind of weird what they can do with it. It's gonna be like Alvin and the Chipmunks kind of stuff, or like.
It has to be. Wait. It has to be geared towards little kids, right? It has to be. That's the only way, right? I mean, you can't imagine, this being like an adult-oriented movie. It has to be geared toward kids.
Yeah.
Oh no! Imagine like dark and grim Sonic with just blood covered and this kind of look in his eye. That's gonna be Sonic. That's the movie.
To be a little positive about this, Disney is also planning Rescue Rangers as a live-action movie. Having adults on that movie and also having this animated chipmunks that were CGI. Don't know how it could work in the Sonic universe, and actually Sony's producing this. And looking back at the Sonic whole past, there are tiny glimpses of humans in his history, like the first girlfriend he had, like this Madonna character, Naoto Shima, and Yuki Naka tried to pull it off once the original Sonic went released, and Sega America saying, "No way you're doing this." And there's also this kid from the Sonic X animated series, which is called Chris, and there's this princess on Sonic 06, and I don't know if Sega wants to pull one of these characters for a live-action feature.
No, these are like
That
the
looks
most
like the
annoying
worst
characters.
president of all time.
Looks good.
So, do you think does Sonic actually make out with a woman in this movie?
Don't know.
Is this what you want, Chris?
It's what I want. Obviously, it's what I want.
Damn, look at Eggman.
There's James Rolfe. Eggman is actually pretty badass in this, if I remember, but it's just, again, that marriage between the 3D and the live action that kills it for me. But
well,
so
maybe...
okay, so what do you guys? How in your mind? How does Sega or Sony make this a good movie? What do they have to do? How do they pull this off?
Is it? You have to focus on what makes Sonic work. As long as it has the Go Green environmental friendly message, and that's what it's focused on, I think kids are gonna love it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just looking at the visuals,
Kids don't
they would
care
have
about
to.
the environment.
Yeah, I mean, wait. Captain Planet. Do you remember the Captain Planet cartoon?
That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. But just my 2 cents on the visual design. They would either have to make it very cartoonish and everything very cartoonish, so the human characters are like smaller part of the grand CGI movie, or they have to make Sonic very lifelike, furry, like Avatar-ish maybe creature, and then it's gonna be not really looking a lot like Sonic, because otherwise it just won't gonna work. So like that's the biggest problem for me. That's the biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to see, dude. I want to see Sonic like conquer, like getting fucking trashed and like all adult oriented and like let's go fuck up Eggman. That's what I want to see.
That's actually what
the opening scene is just Sonic like just. Like 300 style. That's what I want to see. Just over the top violence.
That's what I want.
Yeah. Live action Sonic.
Actually, I saw this. Like they debuted this at MagFest last year. I remember I was sitting in the audience watching this. I was like,
pumped.
oh god, why am I
was like
here?
Screaming and
I was like, what am I doing with my life? Watching this Sonic fan film. Yeah, so okay, that was I don't know. That was like the big surprise, I guess you could say, with Sega. I mean, other than that, they had the games we talked about earlier. So the big game that people are really talking about is Sonic Boom. Now, I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on what we've seen up to this point. Lee, I know you've been, I don't know if you've been a little critical of the game. Do you want to share your thoughts?
Not too much, but I really love Generations, and I also Lost World. I wasn't such a big fan of, but this is a big departure from kind of where Sonic's got to, and where Sonic's got to, where his games are kind of regarded as being good now, because there's a few rough patches, and I'm all for them trying something new, but it's still in development, and it's not out for a while yet, but it's looking a little bit shaky at the moment, in my opinion. Just like watching some of the videos of the speed areas and the camera's very jerky, and I mean it's still in development, so hopefully all this stuff will be fixed up. But yeah, I'm just sorry, B. What was that?
Did you watch the developer interviews where they talk about their design philosophy?
Yes, I did, and it all looks kind of like a little bit button mashy, in my opinion. And the Werehog stuff in Sonic Unleashed was quite widely regarded as being the worst part of that game, and it reminds me a lot of that. But I mean, fingers crossed they'll develop upon it and they'll add way more stuff than what was, in Sonic Unleashed in terms of the brawl levels. But yeah, I did, and I think Stephen Frost is fantastic. I think the development team is really good. The guys making the 3DS version were the people that made Sly Cooper, right? Sanzaru, yeah. I think, right. Yeah, which is awesome. And I really like that the 3DS version is quite different to the. Yeah, that one looks pretty cool, but I'm kind of skeptical at the minute. I'll play it when it comes out for sure, but yeah, I think.
Am I the only one that gets like a Sonic Heroes kind of vibe from the game?
No, not at all.
I really was not a fan of Sonic Heroes, man. It was like I just played Sonic Adventure 2, you know, it was amazing, and then Sonic Heroes was all hyped up as you can play, like, 3 characters, you know, it felt like the old Sonic where Tails was following you. I was so excited for Sonic Heroes, and then it came out, and I fucking hated it. So,
Yeah, I was the same.
I really don't want to see this be another Sonic Heroes,
Okay.
but I kind of have that vibe going on.
I have a question. What did you not like about
This doesn't look like it.
Was it the gameplay or the story?
Both. The gameplay, I really didn't think that the swapping team member mechanic worked well at all. It felt really gimmicky. I didn't like switching to Knuckles and like beating people down after you're like running really fast and then like running off cliffs, and it was way too hard. It had a lot of glitches, and first of all, and it kind of looked like shit. Sonic Adventure 2 on Dreamcast looked better than Sonic Heroes. I don't care what anyone says.
That's true. Yeah, but they were, well, let's not get into the logistics of that. I think the thing that went wrong with Sonic Heroes was that it did not know what it wanted to accomplish. It wanted to continue the Sonic Adventure plotline, but it also wanted to be a throwback at the same time, and I think that's what the gameplay. I will say yes, it was not as enjoyable as the adventure model, but I enjoyed it. I did not find anything wrong with the gameplay, and in that regard, it worked for me. Chris, you're
Chris,
on
you're
mute.
muted.
I'm
There
not
we go,
muted
there you go.
anymore. I'm not. So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about E3 as a whole. What companies surprised you guys the most, and what company, if you could, look at it as a whole, who do you think out of Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo won E3?
Watermelon. Like seriously, the Watermelon trailer was awesome. It had voice acting and the anime. We hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, the Watermelon trailer was really epic.
So you mean Nintendo, is what you're saying?
I guess.
'Cause they're the only ones who showed Pierre Solar. No, okay, I'll go. But I have to say, like, going back and looking at it as a whole, I was really impressed with every company going in. That's something that I really wasn't expecting. Microsoft really impressed me. They showed some really good games, and they were actually able to make me really interested in the Xbox One for the first time. As you guys probably know, Phantom Dust is one of my all-time favorite games. I absolutely love that game. I played it. Other than Halo 2, that was the game I played the most on my original Xbox. I played it so much online, absolutely loved it. But they showed some other really good games. Sunset Overdrive looks absolutely amazing. Looks so much fun. It really reminds me of just that really just fun, over-the-top gameplay style that Sega used to do. Back in the Dreamcast era. It brings back those type of feelings for me. I really like what they're going for with it. I'm not into that whole first-person shooter, the military strategy games. I really don't like those games. They're just I can give two shits about them. So when any Call of Duty, Battlefield, any of that shit comes on, I just completely tune out. I don't like that. So I look at other stuff, and so Sunset Overdrive, Phantom Dust 2, and then also the what's the zombie thing that Capcom showed off? What was that?
Dead Island?
Dead Rising.
No.
The Dead Rising
yeah.
DLC. That was really cool, and that was available like right then. So that was really cool. I liked that. So I thought, Microsoft really made me interested in the Xbox One for the first time. Nintendo, man, they really, in my opinion, I think as a whole, Nintendo won E3. I think they showed so many good first-party games. They really solidified, in my opinion, that the Wii U is finally reaching a turning point. I think it's finally showing gamers that look, the time is right to get on board with the Wii U. It's really coming into its own. There's some really good games. I mean, Smash Brothers is on their horizon. I know so many people are into that game. I've never really played those games, but I really am interested in finally getting on board with Smash Brothers. I want to get involved and see what that game is all about. But for me, when they showed that Legend of Zelda clip, I was completely blown away because it brought back almost memories or feelings of Skyrim to me. Just being able to be in this open world, like high fantasy style game, and be able to go wherever you kind of want and do that in the Zelda universe sounds fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you guys thought about that.
No, I that's what I thought of too with Skyrim. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, same here. The fact they're touting that it's all open world this time. I mean, Link Between Worlds kind of did that, where it just kind of plunked you in and was like, hey, go and explore and do what you want. But I remember Link to the Past also doing it to a degree. So Zelda games have often been kind of open world, even the original NES one. But yeah, it looks amazing, and the fact that that's supposedly kind of running real time on the Wii U shows that you don't need all this power behind your system to have amazing looking games. And I think so many indies and stuff showed us that too as well. Stuff like Cuphead, 2D platformer, looked amazing, kind of like an old style Disney animation kind of thing.
Yeah, that looks really good. God,
it's fantastic, and it just goes to show you that you don't need like all these fancy, amazing 3D graphics to make something that looks really, really good. So yeah, looks fantastic. But I think
I'm trying to find like a list of games that I can't find like a good list of like everything that was shown. What was that that one indie game on the Xbox One? Like
Cuphead.
No. It was
the one
like,
that looked like a cartoon, right? Like
no,
a
it was in the forest. It was like Oni and the something.
Yeah, I can't remember the title exactly, but Phil Spencer has been harping on about it, saying that he absolutely loves it. And it was kind of, I think he said that he wanted that to actually open their conference. So they would start with this Ori in the Forest or something like that. And it does look really, really cool, and that just shows you that, yeah, I think there are going to be a lot of good indie games on the Xbox One, and I know that it went off to a bit of a shaky start with that whole self-publishing thing and whatnot, but yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff come out of this year's E3, especially with indies, in my opinion. So that one
What
did
did you
look
guys think of Splatoon?
I
didn't like that one. Well, I'm actually quite the crank on this E3.
You were the worst.
Yeah,
you really was.
Suicide. You were like, everything was like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And I'm still for that.
I thought Splatoon at first. I kind of disregarded it because I saw the video and I was like, this doesn't really look that interesting. But I went back into it and looked at some trailers and stuff, and it does look really cool. Like the fact that you've got this whole paint cover mechanic going on, where you're kind of painting bits on the floor, essentially painting cover on the floor and using it to hide from enemies. And it's the fact that Wii U doesn't really have any really, really kind of popular shooting games to play online, and shooting games are still quite popular these days, so it'd be nice to have that, and it does feel very Nintendo. It looks very Nintendo, so yeah, I'm excited for that, I've got to say.
What about Bloodborne? Did you guys see that?
Oh yes, very excited for Bloodborne. That looks awesome.
Because you're a big what's their name? What's that studio?
From Software.
Yeah, that's From Software, right?
Yeah, it's kind of From Software. I don't know if it's been officially confirmed, but they said that it's going to be an exclusive with Sony, because it's probably, yeah, there you go. It's kind of being developed in hand with the Japan studio, and it's the guy that made the original Demon's Souls and the very first Dark Souls, and is kind of making a new game that looks a heck of a lot like the Souls games. Obviously, he's the same guy, but it looks pretty far pretty far away from completion. There's a lot of problems with frame rate issues and things like that, but the style of it is amazing. And I absolutely love the Souls games, so I'm very, very excited for this. And they're actually mixing it up, and supposedly you won't even be able to get shields and stuff this time around, which were a huge part of the Souls games.
So is it like I guess a branch off of the Souls games where it's going to be like really fucking hard?
I don't know. It's a new thing completely, so it's supposedly not related to the Souls games at
I
all.
hope not, because it's really hard for me to get into those.
Yeah, well, they said that they actually want to make dying fun this time around. So I think it's going to be... Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work, but
every time you die, they show just bigger pictures of titties every time.
Yeah, that would be fun. No, I don't think it's going to be that somehow, looking at the trailer, but... yeah, I don't know what he's got in mind, but I'm really excited to see, because the Souls games are great, especially the original Demon's Souls, and this feels a lot like that to me, like the art style and everything just reeks Demon's Souls, which I think is great. So
So, what are some other games that you guys saw that you're now looking forward to coming out
Green
of E3?
Fandango. Definitely Green Fandango. I got excited when they said that. It is a shame that it's gonna be on a PS4 because I'm not gonna be buying it. But it's really cool.
You don't have any next-gen console though, so
yeah, I'm not interested in them. I'm the only conference. Well, I'm gonna be as positive as I can be. You know, I have been really cranky about this, but Microsoft got the most of the games I could be interested in. Actually, I saw a lot of them that I kind of dig. And Nintendo made a really nice turnback on what happened. You know, Nintendo has to sell more consoles and more games out there, so they did what they had to do. It was really interesting, like knowing their strategy on how they're gonna be promoting more sales and how they're gonna be taking their games to the next step. It was good for them. It's not my type of game. They never do the type of games I like. Except for Bayonetta 2, I really like that one. But and as for Sony, well, I think it was very good that they tried to show as much as games as they could. The thing that I didn't trust that much is that most of these games from the three companies were like planned for 2015. So they have to still show more work about them.
Yeah. So I know, Patrick, you're you have some very strong feelings about E3.
Yeah,
so I wanted to let's hear those. I'm interested.
Yeah.
In
So basically, like my big question is, do we still need, like, in this day and age, a trade show like E3? Because like I want to ask you, especially from the perspective of journalists, because I know, like, I follow a lot of journalists, like, you know, Jim Sterling and others, and a lot of them, they choose not to go to E3 and instead of just watch E3 from home and watch the streams. So, you know, what's the point of E3s if you can get the high definition stream right up in your house? Like, what's the point of all those expenses of going to the trade shows, sending all of your people there, and then, you know, blowing lots of marketing budget, lots of dollars, if you could just do the same thing in your studio and get maybe even better quality or better showcases? Because like I know that trade shows are like huge drain for the press. Like it's hell. It's like 10 hours plus per day, running around everywhere, and then even then you still won't be able to to cover everything. Whereas if you sit at your home, it's more comfortable and you can cover literally everything. So I think like that's my question. Like, do we still need E3 in this day and age?
Damn, dude, you're so negative.
Here's the thing.
I mean, it's not look. I will compare it to PAX. Like, PAX is great. We need PAX. PAX is awesome because PAX is for fans. Like, you just go there to socialize and to have fun. But that's not E3.
Go get trashed, have fun.
But E3,
I got so
E3 is press only. Alright, anyway, I'm just like.
I completely get where you're coming from with that, and I think it does in some ways make a lot of sense that, you know, with what, especially Nintendo. I mean, I think Nintendo has it right that they're not necessarily showing like a live conference because they're able to really control what they show with the Nintendo Direct style presentation that they did, you know, this year, and I think they did it last year as well. What they do at E3 because they're able to be full in control. There's not going to be any hiccups in their presentation. It's going to be exactly what they want to show. But what they also do is they actually have booths there as well, so they're actually able to have the games that some of the games that they showed in their Nintendo Direct playable. I do think it makes some sense to still have a big trade show, because you're getting these journalists going in and actually being able to get some hands-on time with these games. If they're able to figure out another alternative where they can still get some of the more influential journalists hands-on time with the game, so that way they can give some and write some previews and some hands-on articles about the games, other than what you're just seeing, and they can give more in-depth coverage of it. I still think you need that. I think you need to be able to do that, with E3. I think that's one of the big things that E3 does, and I don't know how you'd be able to replace that if you can't get, these journalists be able to play the games and going in and reporting back to their fans. But one of the really interesting things that Nintendo has been doing with this Nintendo Direct, they're really, in some ways, it seems like they're taking a lot of the power away from the press by doing these Nintendo Directs. Because in years past, and you go back, earlier and earlier into the video game industry, the video game companies really relied on the journalists and the video game magazines and the video game websites to get their message out to prospective buyers of these games. In this day and age, though, I mean, you got YouTube, you got social media, you have all these other things. It's getting more and more to the point where they don't really need those journalists like they did anymore. I mean, because they can communicate directly to their customers now. They can. And another neat thing that Nintendo's doing is they're teaming up with Best Buy, and they're making some of these games available to their customers and say, hey, go to Best Buy and you can play Smash Brothers right now. That's a really interesting thing that they're doing, and they're taking a lot of that power away from the journalists.
Looks like Chris lost his power.
Somebody from Google just said, "No, Chris, you're not saying that live." So.
What's that?
Oh, someone needs less power.
Yep, you got cut off there, buddy, somehow.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think Nintendo's. It's really interesting what Nintendo's doing, because they're they're taking the power into their own hands, and they're communicating directly with their customers. I think that's an interesting way to go, and I really do think that more companies are going to go that way in the future.
Yeah, totally. Another thing for good that E3 is still out there is that the companies also make PR on those trade shows, and also close some deals between them. Like, for example, a company like Nintendo, like making a deal with a publisher, or like the way each other one on the industry like meets each other and know what the other company is doing. So I think it's still going to be working for them.
I remember, as a developer, Patrick, you are going to go to trade shows as well in the future. You haven't been there yet, but it will be an experience that you will not forget. I remember I interviewed Roll from Senile Team, and he was at Gamescom in 2010, I believe. And it's been 4 years since, and he says it is still the best moment of my career to see people play my games.
Nah,
Yeah.
Patrick still won't give a shit. He'll be like, I hate all these people.
Oh, come on.
We need to work on it. We'll work on you, Patrick, after the show.
So Patrick, I'm interested. So what would you like to see? Like, what's the evolution of the video game industry trade shows? What would you like to see happen?
See, like from what I've been talking with the limited number of journalists that I could talk to, like from what they said. So obviously not first-hand experience. So from what they said that. The hands-on that they have, it's either like very tedious to get to, like lots of queues, so you don't really can cover a lot of hands-ons on the trade shows, and that's one thing, and the other one is that they're highly orchestrated, and they're like highly polished and crafted, so they're not necessarily representative of the game anyway, so like they don't really see that much of a value in the hands-on, but as I said, like that's first-hand experience. I cannot speak from that. As from what how would I see it evolve? Like certainly going more into like internet and YouTube, because like and just generally like interaction throughout the media, either directly from the fans or throughout influencers like streamers or YouTubers. Like one of the greatest promotions that we could get for ES right now, I mean not right now, but as we're gonna launch our Kickstarter and later down the line before the release of the game, would be to just send out copies to YouTubers that have like 500,000, 1 million viewers, or streamers that are streaming regularly games, and just tell them, hey, wanna play our game? And then instantly we get like so much views and opinions. That's something great. As for how industry would move, I have no idea. Like there are a lot of smarter people than I do that are working in marketing, so I'm pretty sure they have better ideas as to what to do.
I don't believe that, Patrick. Don't sell yourself short. All right, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for our E3 talk. I wish I would have been a little bit more organized in that segment because, but it's the Percocet talking. I wish, but we'll I don't know. Anyway, so let's wrap this up. Bilal, I think you have some sort of a contest stuff that you want to talk about really quickly before you.
Yeah, we've already announced it on the website. We're giving away a copy of Dukes, also known as Ducks.
I say Ducks.
I say Ducks.
All right.
All right. So Chris, I see that you got the copy behind you. Why don't you show it to everybody?
Should I show them all the copies, or am I supposed to show just one?
Well, we could show them all because we've got a lot of copies we will be giving over.
There's this copy of Ducks. Then we have 2 copies of Redux, and then Redux Dark Matters. We have.
Whoa.
It's all still shrink wrapped right now.
So basically, we're giving away Ducks this month, and then we'll be giving the next game as soon as we review them. Now, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts and in my hands-on feature, Dukes is the hardest Dreamcast game I have ever played. So, yeah. So if you guys are interested, just tell us why you think you can beat it when I can't. Okay, and it will be yours. If you don't think, then I suggest you guys can wait till we give Ducks 1.5 or Redux, because those games are much more easier.
All right. And I think that's gonna wrap it up for the show. We want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Congratulations, Chris.
I guess I have fathered children, so happy Father's Day to me. I've done that. But for you guys, Falco, one more time, can you quickly say where people can go out and find more about Elysian Shadows?
Yeah. Check out our website at ElysianShadows.com. That gives like basic game information, a rundown of like the next gen meets the old school kind of thing we're going for, and then also our YouTube channel. Just YouTube Adventures in Game Development, our online web series, gives you the full, in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at the development of Elysian Shadows from its inception to where we are now.
Awesome. All right, that is going to wrap it up for the show, and we will see you next week, and we will have the Elysian Shadows team on again here probably sometime in August when they launch the inevitable Kickstarter that's going to take over the world. That is going to do it for us. Everyone have a good week. Take it easy.
See you later.